Hi there.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi, so Eric. Hi there.
Hello, Emil. Hello, Matthias. Hello, Eric. Hello, Steve.
So am I sharing now, or do you see my sharing?
Yep,
Yes.
you're sharing it.
Great, great. So please add yourselves to the participant list. We know that Andrea will be some minutes late. He said on Slack. Don't know if anyone else has reached out. No. But I guess we could get started anyway. So on the agenda
Are you
today.
sure you have the right input?
Sorry? You're not hearing me?
Are you sure you have the right input?
You mean the voice input?
Yeah.
Aha. Hope so.
Now do you hear me?
Better.
Better? Okay.
Much
or-
better.
Much better. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the wrong input before then. Sorry. So tell me again if you don't hear me. Yeah, so please add your names there. So for today, as I said, Andrea will be some minutes late, but I will start off the meeting anyway. We will look into any action items from previous week's last meeting, and then some updates from on the SIG itself, something on the work streams discussions, if there is anything that anyone wants to raise, and then talking a bit about the coming conferences. And also blog posts, if we want to write a blog post. We have talked about that earlier, but I don't know if we should bring it up again. Let's talk about that later on. And if there are any presentations, last time we had a presentation from Matthias on Eiffel. We don't have anything more planned, but we can raise anything here. And then some design discussions. So this is a pull request here, as opposed to the GitHub discussions up here. They are maybe related. I don't know if we should bring them all up on the same time, but anyway, let's see when we get there. So action items from last meeting first. There were none, at least none that I could find when I looked at the protocol from last meeting. So I don't think there are any. Has anyone done anything since last meeting that you want to mention? No. Okay. So next questions.
Right. So on the POC then, we've talked about that last time as well, that we should provide some kind of diagram for any solution that we create, so we can more or less show what it does and not just have the code there. So I know we discussed the POC a bit on the last vocabulary meeting in the work stream there, but we didn't say too much on anything needed around the system itself that we set up there. Any ideas on how such a diagram should be created, in what format and whatever?
That sounds like a good idea. To have a diagram definitely will help to explain
kind of like the POC for sure, and the pieces
Yeah.
that we need to create and integrate. Tools for the diagram. That's a very good question. I'm happy with.
And I
whatever.
guess we will more or less, if the POC is in place for the CDCon, we will probably talk about it there on the Birds of a Feather session. And we can then show the diagram there, of course, in that session as well. I expect that we can share screens, but I'm not sure if that's possible actually in that platform, or if we can just share video or voice.
That's a really good question.
Maybe do you know that, Tracy?
Hey,
So Tracy, do you know on the platform for CDCon if you can share your screen or if it's only pre-recorded videos on Hopin?
that's a trick question. Yes, if you're in a booth. If we are in I believe that everything's done through Zoom. So I think the answer is yes. I'm trying to think. I know that for each booth, we have a Zoom session that you can do anything. And as I recall last year when we did our Birds of a Feather, it was just a big Zoom. So we should be able to share our screens. Let
Okay.
me reach out to let me send an email off to the Janet or Jennifer Tucker. She should be able to also, let me send an email out to Jennifer and ask her that question, if the BOF can have a Zoom session that's going to allow them to share a screen or not.
Sounds good. That could
I
be
don't
good to
think
know.
it's changed. Yeah, it would be really, it'd be a great idea actually.
I would be, Erik here, I would be very willing to drive the work of creating diagrams and information material around the POC. It will be helpful for me to make sure I understand it as well. So I can take lead on that.
That's great. Perfect.
Awesome.
Thanks, Erik.
Yep.
Applause to that.
That's basically what I do half my days anyway. I've been diagramming like a crazy person the last 2 days because I have a presentation on confidence labels tomorrow. So I like
Okay, I see. Wow, good. Great. So maybe that brings us to the upstream from the vocabulary work stream. We had some discussions there on what POCs to set up. I think I left early. Is there someone who wants to recap what was said there? I believe Tecton was involved. Was it between Tecton and Captain, or was it Tecton and Jenkins, or what was the idea?
Yep.
Mainly.
Yep. So in general, like I think that what we decide is that we can create like a simple POC that basically connects like a Tecton pipeline to Captain, and make sure that Captain is receiving that event and making sure that we can demonstrate like some kind of interoperability. If we can do it both ways, that will be even better. And we kind of defined the initial pieces that we need to create. And that's why I've sent a pull request with like an initial Go library defining the cloud events mapping. I think that for whatever work that we want to do, we will need to have kind of like the cloud event. How do we map the events definition that we have in our vocabulary directory in the Git repository to a Go library? And it can be Go, or it can be Java, or it can be any other language. But we decided to start with Go because I think that Andrea on the Tecton team, he can start kind of like meeting these events in Go pretty easily. So by having a library there, we can start like directly working into the POC. And it's going to be something pretty simple again, like Tecton sending some events and then Captain picking those up and doing something with them. We also did send a proposal to, I'm just switching topics, but it's related to that. We sent a proposal to KubeCon as well, KubeCon North America, to talk about that with Andrea. And I think that the next step is definitely diagram plus starting thinking about how to create kind of like the pieces in the Tecton side as well. Related to that, I had a conversation today with Vivav also. He's involved in the Google Summer of Code team, and he's here like in the call. Hi, Vivav. And I think that we can join forces with Vivav also to create kind of like these POCs, because he's trying to build a POC around this as well, like with Tecton and Jenkins. So we might end up like with a couple of POCs that are similar, but doing different things and showing interoperability, which is kind of like the main use case that we want to highlight. Besides that, there hasn't been much more progress on that front, besides kind of like having that library. And I'm already getting some comments there, so that's pretty kind of like positive.
That's great. Perfect. Nice to hear about the KubeCon paper as well, or presentation. Hope you get it.
I hope so too.
It's going to be tough, but I think that, yeah, we spend like Saturday and Sunday, and Andrea did a great work on just filling all those super long forms with all the details. We can definitely share the proposal with the team in Slack, probably.
Yeah. So how could we like push for that proposal to go through to KubeCon? Does anyone know? I know that Fatim succeeded. Like you, Carol, like as well. Like you were having the representation in KubeCon last time.
Yes, but I have no wise words. I mean,
okay.
We got lucky.
We can say that we know you. then it might work. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I think that it's still, I think it's good to just to send something to make sure that people is aware that we are working on something, and then even if we don't get accepted, at least we have a proposal and we can definitely create content around it.
You know, the other thing is that DevOps World has extended their CFP deadline through Wednesday, and there is a CDF track. If you've already completed it, all the hard work for KubeCon, you may tweak it a little and submit it for DevOps World as well.
That sounds, that sounds good.
Let me
Andrea, are you online? We should definitely submit it there.
Here is the link. Let me share it.
Is there?
Chat.
Yeah, sure. Is there a limit for number of submissions or something? Or?
You know, I mean, if you've already submitted one for DevOps World.
I was going to today, so yeah. Sorry, but I can submit this one too, I think.
Well, would somebody else like to submit this one?
Yeah, I can definitely submit that one. Yeah, and then we can do it together. That's good.
Yeah, I think that if you just tweak the title and repurpose it just a little, so they're not exactly the same as what you're submitting for KubeCon. And there's a CDF track, which means that the CDF team is selecting the talks for the CDF track. So I'm guessing if we submit one, we will get accepted for it. And I don't know, I think it was Andrea who asked the question, if you're restricted to just one, because I think I submitted more than one. I think I submitted one to the CDF track and then one to another, the regular DevOps World track. And I'm guessing we could do that because one is paid for by the CD Foundation. It's almost like a co-located event that's happening simultaneously. And the other is purely a DevOps World CloudBees managed track.
Okay, cool.
Andrea, should I submit that, or do you want to submit the proposal?
No, it's fine if you do. It's great. You can add me as a co-speaker.
Yep, let's do it.
Should have all the info.
I have a question going back to the POC. This is Gopinath. I'm CTO of OpsMX. We are obviously very interested in interoperability. On all the documentation I've seen, it's referring to kept-n as the front end or product. So the POC, I was wondering if that is the direction it would take.
What documentation?
So the events, cloud events documentation links that were there. as a project that is referring to mostly the events with Keten. Am I looking at the wrong document then?
It's that Captain is definitely one of the projects.
Okay. Okay, maybe I should look at the right documents then. It's for the
No, but I think that, yeah, I think that it's a good question in general. Like, yeah, we are not building a POC that it's going to limit the work of this group. I mean, we are just building a POC just to demonstrate what can be done. So
Okay.
if you have other projects that are consuming or emitting cloud events, you are more than welcome to join us and maybe include that project in the POC as well.
Yeah, sure, of course. I guess Captain was chosen because there is, or chosen as one of the candidates because we had another guy from Captain on the meeting the other day that wanted also to be part of this. And I think he also said that they want Captain to migrate to this new protocol as soon as possible whenever we have a draft for it that can be used. So I think that they seem quite eager to use this new protocol.
Okay. Maybe I need to find the docs for the new protocol then. Let me check.
Yeah, there's not much there yet, but with the POC, I guess we will have at least a very early draft out.
Okay.
Or something.
And certainly input's welcome.
Of course, yeah. Nothing is carved in stone.
Here is, did somebody find the link to that doc and share it? I think I have it. Yes, I think it's this here. Vocabulary. I think it's this right here, possibly. I lost my chat. Oh, there it is. Is that the right doc? Yep.
Yeah, but
That's
do
the
we mention
vocabulary.
Captain in there? I don't know if we mention Captain too much in there, do we? We mention it as one of the.
We do. We talk
Yeah.
about Tecton, Eiffel, and Captain equally in this.
Right, yeah.
Okay. And this one also has the structure defined. I see that. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a very early draft of the structure, so I'm not sure even we have that in the draft on GitHub now, really. But
I see.
But Gopinath, you're representing some other tool that you would like to introduce here as well, or start using?
No, so we use the Spinnaker as our continuous delivery tool, and we have a product on top. We focus a little bit more on using statistics and machine learning for the data that is coming in. And for us, obviously, events is critical. Being able to gather the events from multiple tools as part of the delivery and then provide something on top is what we focus on. But our delivery tool is Spinnaker right now.
So are you looking for an event
on the events
integration
mechanism? Sorry, go ahead.
No, so I was thinking if you're looking for an event integration in Spinnaker or some event integration surrounding Spinnaker or in tools around Spinnaker.
So you can think of this as a layer on top. So Spinnaker and other tools, right? Spinnaker in its delivery pipeline will interact with testing deployments as well as the enterprise other tools. So all of that, we want to be able to capture some kind of eventing and understand the context of them.
Right.
So this is perfect for us. We want to make sure we don't go too far from the standards and want to help contribute to standards.
Because I think I heard of some event library or event plugin being developed to Spinnaker directly as well. I'm not sure if I was just thinking if you were part of developing that part then, but maybe you're not.
Not yet. So we are going to look into that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so there was a lot of discussions around the POC, but is there anything else we should mention on the POC or around that before we move on?
I wanted to kind of demo something that I made yesterday. I'm not sure like how useful it will be, but I created a controller for for parsing CDF cloud events. I made a very simple sync. The controller right now makes like a very simple sync right now, and there is still work remaining on the parsing bits, but this is what I could do in like one night of hacking. So I wanted to know if anyone would be interested in probably seeing this. I could demo it right now.
For sure. Would you like to present it? I'm not sure how much time you would need to present it. If we can take time for it right now, maybe, or if we should take it on the coming meeting.
It would take like 2-3 minutes, and we could do it at the end of the call. So.
Yeah. So if we end early on the discussions, we can have it in the end of the call. That's fine. Perfect.
Okay, thank you, Emil.
So now we have got some discussions in the in the minutes of meeting here. Is that what we talk about? Let's see. One we mentioned now, or?
I just dumped in a bunch of links related to the POC. That's if we were talking about that.
Yeah.
No, it's just for tracking. We don't need to talk about it, I think.
Yeah. Okay. But was that intended for the Birds of a Feather session where we talk about it, or in the CDCon? I mean, as you mentioned, CDCon there.
It was mainly that, I mean, we had a discussion in the work stream meeting, I think, last that we wanted the POC to be ready before CDCon so that we can present. So we can mention it there. So I guess it's related in some sense.
Yep. That's right. Good. So should we go on to the discussions on GitHub? See how much time we spend on those. I think, Andrea, was it you who added those two discussions to the agenda, or?
Yes, I only added them just as a reminder for folks if they wanted to chime in and add any comment to those. We can also discuss them here during the meeting if you want. It was more, I add them more as a reminder. The first one is about the definition of what is a change. What do we mean by change? And the other one is about lightweight versus heavyweight. Yeah, heavyweight messages. So yeah, as I said, we don't have to discuss them here today. I think we already had some previous discussion. I just wanted to put a reminder to people if they had an opinion on this to add it there, please, to bring it up. Otherwise, we'd like to try and get to a close on those discussion. And if no one else has more opinion of that, we can take the current situation, the current proposal in there, and basically make a PR and propose it for the documents.
Yeah, I think on the lightweight versus heavyweight one, we're pretty close to being decided on it being lightweight. So I would vote that we go ahead and move that one over to a PR as a lightweight decision.
Should we have a brief summary on what has been discussed, or what? Maybe Steve, since you've been involved in it.
I think when we create the PR, we could just do a summary on that in the PR.
Sure. Sounds good. But it's good that we've kept the discussion here as well for history.
Yeah, I would link back to the discussion in the PR. So if anybody wants to see the history.
Yeah.
Okay. I can can take an action to make a PR for this one. Yeah, for the change one, maybe it's a bit less clear. So we had some initial discussion, but yeah, it would be good to get some more going on.
I got
and,
an action last week in the work group meeting to create a PR based on what we have discussed as a method for getting more eyes on it, so to say. So I haven't done it, but I have an action on it.
Oh, okay, perfect. You're right. Good about that. Okay. Yeah, I tracked the action here as well. And okay, so I guess we are done then on the GitHub discussions, unless there is anything else people would like to bring up on those.
I guess we have a lot more discussions there, right? Which we haven't mentioned. But if there's anyone else who want to raise a certain discussion for discussions, let's say, we can also, of course, ping each other on Slack to if we want to get something more highlighted.
So just to follow up, Jennifer at Linux Foundation says, yes, Hopin has screen sharing functionality we'll be able to use. And pretty much everybody was CC'd on that.
Nice, nice.
Thank you, Darcy.
My pleasure.
Should we mention that as well on the, let's see. Great. I guess if we're done with the discussions then for now, but please, yeah, we'll look into the PRs when they come, anyone, of course.
Emil, can
yes.
I
Yes.
ask a quick
Sure.
question, right? Like,
course,
I am tweeting that pull request for the vocabulary. It's one of the things that maybe in the next meeting we need to define when we should merge that and what is kind of like the criteria for that. They are like still like very early on, but I think that after, like, if we have another couple of weeks of work in there, probably with Vivav and with Andrea, I'm pretty sure that we will reach a point where we can start making some decisions. So if you have time, I mean, people in this group, if somebody has time to take a look at the code and try to understand what it's doing, or maybe asking kind of like the right questions so we can start creating diagrams and also defining that criteria for merging that pull request, I think that would be pretty useful in general.
Yeah, of course, we could have some discussions on that pull request now if anyone has read it and has some thoughts around it, or we can review it until next time in 2 weeks, of course, as well.
Yeah, because I think that there are like some large refactoring that we need to do in general, that what the pull request is doing is basically creating that kind of like first mapping into a cloud event from the things that we have in the vocabulary repository. So, you know, it's just a bunch of structures. It's also kind of like a library and a command line tool as well. So we will be trying to organize the project in that way. So it looks like a library, like an SDK for people to use and to be able to create kind of like the event structures and to emit them.
Will we have some kind of JSON schema as well to validate the events, or to see that we form them in a good way? Or will we only use the Go API, for example? Or
yeah, I think that for now we are using the Go API, the Go Cloud Events SDK. And we had some comments there in Slack with Eric about the schemas and see if we need to add something like that for now. My gut feeling is that we shouldn't, but at some point we need to have that discussion, to be honest, in this group.
At least to validate if we do multiple implementations in different languages towards sending events. Of course, it's good that they validate towards the same schema, I would say.
Yep.
And I guess that Captain has also an event schema, so we could follow their way of working there, I guess, as well, to take some inspiration from how Captain solves the schema handling. Maybe.
100%. Yeah.
Good. So did we put that to the minutes that there will be a protocol pull request, so that there is a protocol pull request that we could you add it to Mauricio to so I have a link to it here as well.
Yes, let me do that.
Yeah, thanks.
A question about the PR. You talked about major refactorings. How are we, or is there any ideas on how to handle those? Is it as a commit, or is it just to? Are you thinking that we should add it like comments?
That's a very good question. So I think that basically now the comments on the PR, I'm just trying to work through the comments and basically adding the remaining event types. I wanted to leave it into like a place where other people can just start sending code. I know that Vivav is also working when he shows kind of like what he's been up to. He might need to have something like this already. So we might have kind of like a first consumer for the library itself. And I think that we need to reach to that point, and I'm really hoping to reach to that point during this week. So the best way to help right now is to go look at the code and put comments in there, like in the pull request, right? And I will try to work on over that.
Yeah, I would be using the library in the controller to do the conversions. So right now there are no conversions being done, only like a sync is being defined. But this will be extended to use the library to do conversions from one CD type, one type to the other.
Sorry, are you talking about conversion between different protocols or between different event types, or?
Between different tools, not protocols, not like HTTP to Kafka. Instead, it will be something like one CI/CD system to the other. So the initial idea is to be able to convert Tecton to Jenkins or something like that using this, or at least get an idea of how that can be done. I'm still getting used to this vocabulary bit, so do correct me if I'm going wrong somewhere.
So some kind of adapter or translator you mean there in between?
Yes.
Yeah.
So feel free to reach out to me, Vipa, for the Tecton side as well if you want. I implemented the cloud event support in Tecton, and I have some ideas about how we could try and support this natively on Tecton side as well. So we can have a chat offline if you want on that side.
Yeah, that sounds great. I am a little confused as to like how we could go about converting something like a pipeline run to like a job build in Jenkins, and how that maps to the vocabulary. But
Yeah.
I guess we'll have a conversation around that.
Yeah, for Tecton does not have any knowledge about like higher level abstractions like builds, tests, deployments, and so forth. So my idea is that for Tecton, we would need, if we want to generate those kind of events from Tecton side, we would need to use maybe something like annotations on the pipelines, and then generate the events based on those. So we need to place the extra information somewhere on the pipeline to tell Tecton basically that this is not just a generic pipeline, is that deployment pipeline, for instance. So when the pipeline start event is sent, we could also send a deployment started event based on our protocol. That's what I had in mind.
This would have to be set on the pipeline run or the pipeline itself, probably.
Yes. Yeah.
Does it
So
make sense to add this to the catalog then? Like in the catalog tasks which already exist, probably it makes sense to go through some tasks which kind of correspond to certain vocabulary that we already have in CDF events. So
yeah.
maybe updating the catalog initially would make sense for these things.
Yes, but we need to kind of make a design for that and propose it to the Tecton community before we can go on and edit all the catalog tasks. But yeah, so that's a good idea, definitely, to annotate the catalog task would be good. Anyway, I think we can discuss on the techno specifics maybe
Yes, definitely.
more offline.
Yeah, but yeah, please do. But it's some, of course, high-level discussions can also be held here, of course. But yeah, so please continue offline. It's fine. Should we go on to the meetups, conferences? We also already talked a bit about it, but we should maybe elaborate a bit more on it now. So if we go to the CDCon Birds of a Feather, we have this document, Tracy, right, that you prepared for discussions there. I just added one.
Oh, yes, I
question
have started when
to
I was talking when
part.
I was on mute.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry. Did you find it?
I just yeah, we have it here. I share it now, I hope. Or do I share it? Do you see my sharing still?
We're not sharing, but you may have put it in the chat. You are not sharing your screen though. It says you started it, but I don't see it.
Oh,
Try to restart your
strange.
sharing, Emil.
Yeah, maybe I should. Just a second. But I also paste in the chat there. Seems I can't share my browser anymore.
Let me see if I can find it real quick here.
I can see your screen. Oh, no, not anymore.
Oh, you could. Oh, okay, sorry.
There you are. Now we can see it.
Yeah.
Now we see it. Okay, great. Yeah.
So just
this
to
is
add
good.
a point of clarity, when I wrote this was for a potential panelist discussion. So I don't know if we have to have this list, but we can certainly come up with some questions that we can kind of feed the process for the BOF.
Right,
Kind of
right.
like when you do a presentation and you feed the Q&A.
Yeah, and if there aren't a lot of other discussions, of course, these questions could be used to bring the discussions going.
So there could be certainly better questions to ask in this. I'm certain that there's probably more technical questions we should dive down into.
Yeah, and I would urge anyone to, not just me, Eric and Andrea, to put in questions here. If you think there are things that one of us could talk about or could discuss, or things you want we should talk about, please add them as well to us proposed questions here.
And I don't think everybody
guess.
here is on this document because I originally just shared it with,
Ah, okay. Aha.
so
Right.
we probably need to share it with more people. I'm not sure how we would do that. I guess I can just make it public.
Uh-huh. You don't want to make it public, maybe, right?
Can somebody find it if it goes public?
They can find it through our minutes of meeting.
Okay, yeah, but so for example, I can't access it.
Okay, so it's not public. I see Kara can, but I guess you got access.
Yeah, I'm gonna, whoever's on the call here, I'm going to, if I have your email, I'll go ahead and add you to this. Matthias, I don't think I have your email. You're the only one that I know I don't have an email for. You want to put it in the chat or send it to me in a private chat?
Yep.
Yeah, good. So I'm not sure if we should go any deeper here. We have a presentation waiting for us maybe in the end of the meeting, so maybe we don't need to spend more time on talking about these questions. But of course, anyone, if you have something you think would be valuable to discuss on the BOF with anyone coming to CDCon, please raise those questions here. And we can talk about it on the next meeting, maybe if there are things we don't know how to answer or what we should talk about in those questions. And then we talked about KubeCon and also the DevOps world. Is there any other conferences or meetups that should be brought to our attention? No? Okay.
So everybody, if you're interested in contributing to this, the BOF questions, look to see if you have access to it. If you don't, send me an email at tracy@deployhub.com. I think everybody on this call today has access to it. I just added a bunch of you. So make sure you do have access. And like I say, if you don't, just ping me with the correct email.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. It's working.
Great.
Perfect.
That was some quick typing on my part to get everybody's emails in there. It looked crazy typing so fast.
Nice. So yeah, me and Andrea, we had a chat the other day and we talked about maybe it's time now to think about a blog post to also primarily maybe then attract people to the CDCon Birds of a Feather session. But at the same time, I guess we said, me and Andrea, that we might not be able to write such a blog post now. But maybe it's a good idea if anyone else is able
I'll be
to do
happy.
it.
I can write a blog post. I'll just do a high level blog post. I think that we've had one in the past when we just first got announced, but I think that giving kind of a status update of where we're at without sharing like the vocabulary docs. I know you guys aren't comfortable with doing that. I can pull that together and I'm happy to send it to you guys before I push it out, but I can try to get it written today or tomorrow. It shouldn't take me that long. We need to do something anyway, because we should be pushing our, we should be doing something to get people to our BOF in June.
Yeah, that's perfect, Tracy. Thanks a bunch for that. That would be great.
And is there,
if you
other
want
than,
help reviewing it,
is there anything that anybody wants me to add to the blog? What do you, do you have any thoughts of what should be in it? Other than this is what we're up to, here's a status. Please come to our Birds of a Feather. We're going to be,
I guess if you want, you can add some example questions from the document there, if you think anything of that could attract people to talk about. So
okay.
We might not end up talking about those things anyway. We don't know yet, but
right. But I'm wondering if should I say anything about the potential of having some kind of a quick little POC, or should I not?
Yeah, you guys that are more working on the POC, do you think we can say that now?
I mean, in some sense, it's always good to have a concrete deadline and some expectations on you. That tends to help the focus, but again, it might be very early to promise something.
But that is the reason, that is one of the goals, right? Is you'd like to get that done.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll phrase it in a way that if you have to get out, you can. I'm good at doing that. I've been in a small software company long enough that I can figure that out.
Great.
That would be perfect.
And who would like to read it before I get it posted? I'll put a shared doc out there and share it with you, what the blog is going to look like, and then I'll submit it to the CDF.
That'd be
Yeah,
great.
I can read it.
I can
Okay.
read it too.
And Andrea.
All right. That was Emil and Andrea.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. I will try to get that out today or tomorrow.
Perfect. Okay, so we're now on the presentations part. Should we say something before we take the presentation, Andrea, on the cloud events mapping?
No, I think we already had a chat about the that PR. So I think we should move to the presentation.
Yeah. So let's take the presentation now then. Biba, if you're still wanting to have it.
Yep. So yeah, I have it here. I'll share my screen.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. So I hope you guys can see my terminal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've already set everything up here. So I have a sync running in this pod, and it has a service which is given in the Tecton config. So this is the sync which is given here, and this is created by the controller. So if I do so this is the example. This is a simple example of a sync which we'll use, and this is the sync running over here. I'm just logging it out, and what I'll do now is I'll just create a task run. So and let me yeah. So you can see that the sync got updated with the cloud event. The idea is to be able to kind of forward this data to a broker, which will then convert it to like whatever other format that we need. For example, in this case, this is in Tecton, so we would like it to be in a format which is closer to Jenkins. So this is a very small demo, and this is basically it. So this is what's next is coming is using Mauricio's library for the adapter and kind of getting this working with that. But before that, we'll actually have to figure out how to mark each of these task runs or like pipeline runs with annotations like Andrea was talking just some time back, because that will be important to get it through the cloud events vocabulary. So, yeah. So this is it. So, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. That's why, Viva, I think that we need to join forces, because if we want to build a POC for for CDCon, for DevOps world as well, this is going to be pretty along those lines. And
Yeah.
I think that we can definitely have like a meeting with Andrea, so we can just figure out the Tecton side of things. So we start kind of like with the right foot in there, and then grow the library to a point where it can be used, where you can just add it like to your project, and and it creates the right structures for you to emit like CDF events. And then see what's kind of like the target right? Like it can be like Jenkins, it can be Captain, it can be any other project. So yeah, good stuff. If you want to, definitely, if you want to help on the library, feel free to send me a message and let's have that conversation with Andrea so we can like understand a little bit more the Tecton side.
Yes, definitely. I think we kind of have some clarity on like what needs to happen on the Tecton side. The only thing we need to do is like figure out the annotations and stuff, which will then be read in the conversion broker or like the adapter. I only figured out that adapter is maybe a better word than conversion broker. Yeah, but yeah, in this case, I think it's we have some clarity on like what needs to happen on Tecton side, and then that same thing can be implemented uh, parallelly with the library that you are writing, and then can be used in the controller here. So we can have like a kind of like a flow going on for converting cloud events for CI/CD.
That's good.
Yeah, so thanks, Vibhav. Any other questions or comments to Vibhav? No. Okay, great. But it's good that you keep the the collaboration going there between you who are involved in the POC now. I look forward to seeing more results there. That sounds great. So anything else we should bring up on today's meeting? We run out of topics from the agenda right now. Andrea, do you have anything to add?
Don't have anything else for today.
Anyone else has anything?
Not here, no.
Okay, so I guess we can end early then this time. And we'll meet again in 2 weeks. And I wish you happy hacking on the POC, including the documentation, Eric.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so see you then.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.